everybody. Welcome back. So today's guest is someone who I've known for quite a while, actually, now that I'm thinking about it. Her name is Yvette Gonzalez, and we're going to go in deep with her process to find representation and how that all played out. Before we even go there, though, I just want to kind of celebrate that the past couple episodes of the podcast, if you've been tuning in, and I assume you have really had to do with purpose and with really owning the space that you can take up as a creative. And I think that right now, one thing that we tend to almost write off how vulnerable it is to put yourself out there at times. Sometimes we're very aware of it. And then sometimes when it comes to like the business, when it comes to representation, when it comes to having someone like an agent or manager on your side to help you get out there and get auditions, we sometimes put that in a category of like, yeah, well, that's just the business stuff. And we have to remember that these are the big, same beautiful, tender, artistic hearts that you have when you are working in class or in a rehearsal or on stage. And those are the same beautiful hearts. That's the same muscle that you're using when you reach out to managers and agents. And one of the things that I loved about Yvette's process when she went through this is she was very clear in making sure that she showed up the whole time and checking in with me to make sure that it was really clear who she was and what she's stepping into. And so I'm going to shut up now because she's going to tell you this way better than I am. So Yvette, welcome to the show.
Hi.
All right. So glad you're here. Thank you for taking the time out to do this. So first of all, before we even dig too deep, can you give everyone just a little bit of background of yourself as an actor, just like a little bit of your story?
Yeah. So I'm a Mexican-American actress, second generation, born and raised in Fresno, California. I'm still in Fresno, by the way, but we'll get to that part.
Great. We will get. Yes.
So I always knew I wanted to be an actress since I was a little kid. You know that story where like you see someone on stage when you're young, you're like, oh my God, I want to be there. That was me.
That was you. Wait, what was the show? Do you remember the show?
Pirates of Penzance.
Oh, I love it. I was the very model of a modern major general in 6th grade.
Oh my God. I love it.
Yes.
And at age 17, that's when I did my first musical ever. Mm-hmm. Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. I was Potiphar's wife.
I was the Pharaoh.
Oh my God.
Of course, that's how I got my equity card.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
And after that, that's when I realized, okay, I really do want to take acting seriously. And so I went to a community college here in Fresno, California, before transferring over to USC. Where I majored in.
Can I slow you down just a little bit? Because I can just picture 17, you're in your senior year of high school. Right? Decisions have probably been made. Conversations with family has been had about what you're going to do with your life. Was this a huge like left turn to your family? Was this like huge like, what do you mean you're going to be an actor now? What's going on? Are you going to community college? Like, what was that? Can you take us back to that a little bit?
So during that time, my family, they supported me, thankfully. Yeah, I'm blessed with that. They also wanted me to have a degree just in case.
Yeah, sure.
Safety reasons.
Yes.
And so I remember I applied to so many colleges like here in Fresno and then out over in LA, New York, like places all over the place. And I remember I applied to UCLA. Nothing. I didn't get accepted. And I was like, ouch.
Yeah, sure.
And then I decided, you know what? Let me go to Fresno City. That way I can get my AA, get all my general ed out of the way before I get to transfer to where I really want to go. Yeah. And during that time, I was taking some theater classes and I was also trying to figure out, okay, what else can I do? Do I really want to do theater or not? And then that's how I kind of like ventured into communications. And I was like, okay, I really like the entertainment industry, but I kept coming back to acting. So I took that as a sign. And I remember during college, I took a Meisner class. And that was kind of like the light bulb where I was like, I really like this. Yeah. And at that time, that's when I was applying to a lot of colleges to transfer out to. I applied to UCLA again. I was like, let me redeem myself. Also USC, NYU. UCLA said no to me again. And I was like, ouch. But USC said yes.
Yes, heck yeah.
And I knew USC was the one. Yeah. That was a school that I was meant to go to. And I went and it was phenomenal. I had a wonderful experience. I got to meet new friends, just dive into the industry. But I also noticed something while I was over there.
Yeah.
Being Mexican American, being Latina, I noticed that whenever I was in like certain rooms, I would either be the only person of color or one of the few people of color. And I
Mm.
noticed myself kind of like shrinking back. Instead of being like the proud Latina that I am now,
Yes.
I noticed that change in me. And I noticed how that kind of affected my acting. I was like, oh, this people pleasing, all this anxiety, all this stuff was coming at me. And at the same time, I was doing some student films with some like student directors from like the cinema school. So I was able to like dip my toes into what it's really like in the film industry. And I also had some casting internships that I was able to see both sides of what's expected for
Mm.
actors.
Mhm.
But then after I graduated, I took a year off so I can travel and just
Yeah.
focus on myself.
Yeah.
And that was in 2019.
Mhm.
Then 2020, I
Oh,
moved to LA to start my life again,
I'm
to
sorry I'm
start my acting
laughing.
career.
I'm sorry I'm
You
laughing.
know, we know where
I
this is
no, we
going.
know where this is. We all know where this is going. It's 2020. Yes.
Exactly. And I get a job. My acting is going great. The ball is rolling. And then the pandemic happens.
Yeah.
And then I moved back home. I made the decision to come back.
Mm.
And what's interesting is that I'm getting kind of vulnerable right now.
Yeah.
I've always wanted to leave Fresno and
Mm.
venture out.
Yeah.
And it took coming back to Fresno to like embrace myself, to step up to that next level that I needed to be.
Mm.
And it's made me the person I am today and the actress that I am today.
Wow. Wow, that's amazing. When you say that, it's you can first of all, I love how much you're claiming your identity here and taking up the space that
Mm-hmm.
sounds like you maybe weren't taking a feeling comfortable, feeling safe enough to take up when you were at school in some ways. And
Mm-hmm.
and I appreciate you speaking into the difference in those spaces, the lived experience of being there. I want to speak into this actress that you became because when you set the stage of like, 2020 things were going well and then the pandemic happened and you were the same person, pandemic or not. What was and this is where we're getting kind of into the representation piece, I think a little bit is
Mm-hmm.
what was what did that homecoming give you that you needed to be able to land great reps? Wait, can I put a timeout for a second? Can I give some data real
Yes.
quick? I want to give some data. You guys, so one of the things we share a lot, and I'm not the person who came up with this, we talk about data over drama when we talk about reaching out to representation because yeah, I love the smile. You and I both know that we can so get sucked into like how many people responded and what did they say? And are we gonna just like are we gonna run our careers on the feelings we have around it? And I want to just share some of the data behind your reach outs. So are you okay for me to share, Yvette?
Yes.
Okay,
And
great.
I might have to add more depending on what you say.
Okay, great. I can't wait. So what I noticed is 14% of the people that you reached out to replied, which is incredible. Like meaning not just did they open your email, they actually wrote you back to say yes, no, maybe so, let's have a meeting, all that stuff. And
Mm-hmm.
72% of the people you reached out to. So I just want to paint that picture. Opened your email. So that let's pretend she sent 100 emails, which means 72 of the 100 opened it. That's a huge number, I think. You've told me that you got 8 meetings
Mm-hmm.
and that you had 6 offers. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
Yes.
She's like, that's yes, that's it. And so, first of all, I just think that's an incredible response. And then I also love, you're sharing with me, you had 15 people tell me more, which is a category that I think a lot of people overlooked. That like some people are like, oh yeah, give me some more information. And so I just really want to make sure that we acknowledge that sometimes someone responding isn't a yes, no, maybe so. Ask me later. It's a tell me more. And I just think that obviously you navigated that well to get this many meetings. So as we're talking about this actress you had your homecoming to rebecome, how did that lead into these results, do you think? How does it connect?
Okay. I'm like, where do I begin? Just little quick with like the agent goal thing, like
Yeah.
with the introduction of our emails.
Yeah.
My intro was basically me embracing my Latinidad. And it took figuring like myself out and like that story that we always do. But I started noticing patterns in myself, and I was like, can I talk about this instead? And he'd be like, no, you got to talk about your unique self. I'm like, what about this? I'm like, no, okay. I am a Latina, Fresno, California. Look at me.
Yes. Wait, can I just say how happy it makes me to hear you say that? Because you have such a better memory of this. Because in my mind, I didn't realize I was stopping you from, because you were like trying to bring other things into the story, essentially, right? And kind of hiding
Mm-hmm.
this. And I was like, why are you hiding this? Why are we hiding this over and over? And so you had this, it sounds like you had this experience of like, oh shit, I have to claim this. This is what I have to claim. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
And it sounds like it was at the end of the day, it delighted you, even though in the beginning you may have been resistant to it.
Mm-hmm.
Is that true?
And it was the key for
Mm.
all the stuff to happen, like the email responses, the yeses, the nos. Just even the nos, like they were my favorite, but they were also very motivational just because of the different tiers of agents and managers that responded to me. And I was like,
Yeah.
oh,
Wait, share a little bit
okay,
about that. People need, because I'll just
okay,
share. I'll share with everybody. So, well, you share with everybody. What did you decide no's were going to mean to you? Did you have a decision around what the meaning you were going to make out of a no?
okay. So what helped me?
Yeah.
I'm a Virgo.
Uh-huh.
So I love all the data versus the drama stuff. And whenever I received a no, I have this mentality that no is redirection. You're not my person, but thank you for this experience. It's a step closer to finding my representation.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. So you said that. So tell me about why some of those were really exciting too, because it was like people who said no that were like,
Oh,
just,
okay.
yeah, tell me.
Okay. So I am an no, I'm a developmental actress.
Okay.
And so I feel like I'm a baby. I've been in this for a few years, but there is other people in our class that are so much farther than me. And so I was like, how is this gonna be? And when I sent my stuff out and my subject line would either have Latina actress or Mexican American actress, and just seeing the opening rate about 70%, and then seeing agents managers from the mid tier and top tier responding back to me and just being encouraging, either saying like, this is beautiful, like remain true to who you are, I'll save your materials, maybe for certain of them. And I'm just
Yes.
like, oh my God, something's happening. It's meant to be.
Yes. Yes. Well, what's so interesting? So what I'm hearing you say when you say this is, even a no said to me, "Oh shit, I'm in this business and people care." Then it was like a no that was like, "Oh, I'm verifying that I see you and that I'm not right for you right now, and you're doing the right thing you should be doing." It's almost like a validation of you're doing the right thing you should be. I just
Mm-hmm.
happen to not be your match. Like, yes, you're in the club. Like, I feel like it gave validation. It's so great to hear you say that. And also, I want to just empower anyone who's listening around. You claiming in your subject line even this piece of your identity. And I don't want anyone out there who's like, yeah, well, I can't say I'm Mexican American. Are you like writing some story where like, I don't have something as cool or as unique as Yvette has? It is what's true about you is what made it work. Right. And that's what I think is so important that we don't
Correct.
overlook. Right. And I see you're saying correct. Okay. So that is incredible. And so wait, so this happened, right? You had all these things going out and you're like getting no's, but then you got some yeses, obviously. What was that
So
like?
the yeses, they were so beautiful. I loved our meetings. I did get different types of meetings. I got 8 meetings, 6 offers. But they just weren't my people.
Got it.
There
Great.
was there was one person who I really wanted to be my agent, and he ended up saying no to me. And I was like, oh, no, I was crushed.
Uh-huh.
And the other reps, I decided to say no to them because I felt like there was something more for me out there.
Great. Wait, tell me what that was like. Was that scary? Was that new for you? What was that feeling new? What was that like?
It was new and scary just because I've never been this far before. And thankfully, I had my accountability group
Yeah.
to take care of me and just guide me, give me some advice. And I said, you know what? I'm going to say no because one, I want to revamp myself. And two, I know what I'm capable of, and I want someone who can match my level. Even though everyone
Great.
is capable,
Sure,
It's
sure, sure,
just
sure, sure.
finding that one person that matches with you.
Right. And that was just in the agent category, not in the manager category. Is that kind of how that played out essentially?
Both.
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 Got it.
I
Got
had
it.
mixed meetings.
Got it.
So that was March.
Yeah.
Then I decided to reach out again in May.
Got it.
And I circled back to 500 agents and reps. And at that same time, I gave them the news that I was investing in professional headshots for the first time ever.
Yeah.
And only one manager got back to me. I had the meeting with her. She was a wonderful woman. But during that time, Juju Crystals, it was Mercury retrograde.
Yes.
And I just didn't want to jinx that. And I was like, something besides astrology, I was like,
Yeah.
there's something is holding me back from saying yes to her.
Got it.
And I just didn't know what it was, but I said, you know what? I'm just going to trust my intuition on this. And so I said no.
Got it. Wow.
And then in
So,
August,
yes, I love
third
this.
time's a charm.
Yes. Yeah, 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 yeah.
I had my new headshots, stronger self tapes. I emailed the agents and managers again. This time I got 5 meetings, 2 offers.
Awesome.
And I found my agent.
That's
And I said
awesome.
yes to him.
Oh my gosh. So wait, I want to just track this for everybody. So before anybody's like, oh my God, it took her 3 tries. I want to make sure you're hearing what she's saying is first time around, I was like, nope, these are not, awesome. I got validation in the business. I get that there's something here that says these aren't my people. These aren't the right match for me. Cause remember, they're not the only ones who get to decide. And that's what I think is so empowering about what you're describing. Cause I'm sure that was like, whoa, I'm saying no right now. And then again, and then the third time was the charm of like, and I want to make clear is like, the third time isn't the charm of like, she got meetings every single time. The third time was the charm when she said, I found the person that I feel good about. And I think that's so powerful. And also, so that I would just say like, that's so cool that you're like, I think a lot of actors be like, oh my God, you got 6 meetings and 6 offers. Of course you signed right away. Like, no, actually I did not. I walked away from the offers because it wasn't right. And that's such a rare time that I hear an actor say that. And what about that? Like, what did it give you to say no?
It was such a powerhouse move. But another thing is like, I learned this through your class just because we worked so much on our like personal growth, our like self work as a person and as an actor. This was kind of where I started reclaiming my identity as a Latina. And instead of being like, oh, I want you, and I was like, no, these people are going to be on my team. We're going to be collaborating together. I'm going to have some boundaries. This is what I want from representation. And each meeting, I was getting closer and closer to that one rep.
Yeah. And I also hear you saying like, each meeting you were maybe getting stronger and stronger at like knowing what your taste was. Like, like, oh, I've tried this one and I've tried this one and it's clear to me this is more what I want. So I love that. It was almost like, I also think of it, those first ones were all rehearsal for you to get closer on your clarity you wanted. So if you had identified one specific part of this agent goals process that helped you the very most, what would it be, would you say, and why?
I have to think about that one.
Yeah, good. You can pick more than one
Oh
if you're.
I just feel like I'm repeating myself. It's just like that personal growth. It was just coming full circle back to where I'm from, building that foundation, having the support in my own family and in the community. That was a plus for me. And just knowing that I was heard also.
That's awesome. When you say you were heard, talk a little bit more about that. What do you mean when you say that?
Just that my story is important. I'm unique and deserving to be out in the field.
Yeah. So, I mean, everyone, please listen to that. Whoever is listening and thinking about representation, thinking about, is acting going well for you? What you just said is so important for us to take away because it's so easy for that to slip away when we're not getting validation, when we're not getting auditions. Like it can get in the way. And one thing also is that I hear you saying is, I want to backtrack a little bit, which is you brought your story to this. It wasn't that in the course I was like, well, Yvette, here's what's unique about you and you need to do it. It was you showed, through the work you did, you said, this is what I think I have to claim, right? And I'll say that in the course, watching so many actors go through this, it's so it can be surprising to the actor and also like, oh my God, of course this is the thing I need to claim. And it becomes so much like I love that you actually did have a homecoming, but what I notice is actors return to themselves, like return to themselves in this process in a way that's the one who you said fell in love with acting when they're watching Pirates of Penzance, and that is the actor, and like, that is the actor who's having meetings, who is saying, "I belong in this business no matter what this manager or agent says." And do you believe that too? Then great, we're a match. Or there's more conversations around that can be more specific, but that's kind of where it goes. So I think you've already covered this question, but I want to give you a chance to just think about it, see if you didn't, if there's any more to this. Is there anything that you
Mhm.
learned about yourself through this process?
To embrace my tenacity.
Say more. I love it.
It's just, um, I've always been a go-getter and I've always had this strength in me. And during the pandemic, that part of me has become stronger and stronger. And I've noticed that whenever I walk into a meeting or if I walk into an audition, whether it's like in person or self tape, I'm so grounded and comfortable
Mm,
in who I am.
nice. Wow. Bet you didn't think that was going to happen when you said I need to get an agent in this class, right?
I know.
Damn it. Shit, that happened too. So, I'll just say that one of the things that is so nice talking to you is I get what you just said. I feel that groundedness from you. I feel like I'm talking to, this is not the right word, but like I feel like I'm talking to an adult, for lack of a better word. Like I'm talking to a person who knows the space that she takes up in a room, a person who takes up the space that she can, you know? Um,
Yeah.
yeah. So there are probably a lot of actors who
I
are
just want to
listening.
cry thinking about that.
Well, Yvette, as you think about, well, here's a question for you. 2 years ago, essentially, is when we probably
Uh-huh.
met ish,
Yeah.
around this time, I would say. Um, what do you know about yourself now that you didn't know then?
Tears are going to come up right now just thinking about it. Um, just reflecting back on who I was 2 years ago. I was an actress who was just trying to get her footing, just trying to stand and be tall. And where I'm at now, she was manifesting that. She was thinking about when that, I can't wait till that day comes. I'm so excited for when that moment comes. I don't know when it will be, but I can't wait till I get there. And now I'm here.
I love the way you said that. And I just really want to reflect back that that is who I see. And it's so clear. And if you guys haven't seen this woman's headshots, you need to run because they look like exactly what you just described. They're so dang good. I just want to compliment you on your headshots. But before, I just got reminded of the quote is from The Wizard of Oz. You've always had the power, my dear, which is, what Glinda says to Dorothy. And it just feels like that reminder just came to me. So I really appreciate that. And I will share that it has been watching you go through this. It's part of the program is getting the chance to get to know you better, in the delight
Mm-hmm.
of watching you wrestle. And I'm not saying painfully wrestling, but you like this, I get why this is, like watching you take a note and go, how do I make this work so that I am really showing up here? How do I own more of who I am so that whoever I do end up meeting with is like excited about that person? And I think that's one of the things that you have really emulated. So if you're listening now and you're thinking about like, well, what does that mean? Let me just give you an example of that. Like if Yvette wrote the like Diet Coke version of herself into an email, then any manager or agent who reads that isn't meeting the real Yvette. And then that means we're starting this whole relationship from whether or not they call you in to having the meeting to tell me more to saying no to saying yes, all on this like less than true version of yourself. And this isn't to say this is just about writing one email. It was about her claiming her identity from the beginning and then making it clear to people so that they can say no. I mean, I think it's so important. Like, oh yeah, that's not for me. And this is for me. Like, that's such an important piece of this, is give people the help they need to say no to
Mm-hmm.
you. And then the people, the yeses can just emerge. So I love that you said that. So there's probably a few actors listening right now who are where you were. And what would you say to them? What's your wish for them, would you say?
To believe in yourself and take that first step because taking the first step is always the hardest.
Yeah, I appreciate you saying that. So what was your journey like inside of this program? What would you describe it like in 3 words? What was it like?
Oh my gosh. Okay. It was fun. That's one.
Yay.
It was educational. Just because
I
I feel
love
like
that
a
word.
baby and I'm learning new things.
Yeah.
But also abundant.
Nice. Nice. What are you taking with you from what you learned in this course beyond just your representation?
Just my confidence in myself, having a community no matter where I go.
That's great.
Yeah.
You know, I always say, like, people always think of community as the extra credit part of something that they do. And it becomes, when anyone's talked about the program or talked about, you know, doing almost anything, like, oh, the people that I met during at the community is such a huge piece of what helps you accomplish it. So as we were thinking about, you know, let's have Yvette on the podcast. She had such a cool story and whatever. As I was thinking more about it, of course, I remembered you claiming your heritage as part of this whole process.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any message you have for the young lady who's from Fresno having the same thoughts right now that you'd want to say beyond believe in yourself? And maybe it's the same message, but is there anything else you'd want to say to her specifically?
Follow your intuition. It might be scary, but something's on the other side.
Yeah. And my final thing I want to say is how incredibly spiritually grounded you were to say no to people who offered you representation and said, I'm going to trust that this isn't what's right for me. And that is, I think, at the other side of that alone, you must have felt like a real badass, because that is so huge to be able to say that, right? To be able to say, no, these aren't my people. And I'm trusting my own intuition. I just love that. Well, I just want to thank you so much for being on the podcast today. Is there anything you care to share about with us that's been going on in your career that you feel comfortable sharing?
Just that by following my intuition and finding my rep, I've been getting an abundance of auditions.
Shut up. Shut up. I'm so proud of you.
It's been working.
Yes. I am so happy for you. Oh, Yvette, that makes me so happy. I mean, that's the end game, right? That's the end game. But what I also want to do, I love what you said is like in my auditions, in my self-tapes, you know, whatever kind of, like, I am this person that I identified during this process, which I think is not what anyone expects. So I just appreciate you owning that so big and bold. And I know that we are all, I'm sure listeners and me are really excited to follow along. Is there a place where we can just watch and continue to watch your growth that we could look at on social media or anything like that?
Yes, Instagram. You can follow me at Yvette Gonzalez with 3 Z's. So it's YvetteGonzalez.
Love it. I love it so much. We will also link to that in the show notes if anybody didn't get that fast enough. But I bet if you type in Yvette Gonzalez, you'll see her pretty quickly. Thank you so much for sharing this day and being vulnerable. And
thank you.
And I really want you to hear from the bottom of my heart. Like it really delights me to see you be so successful and to own that it is, you know, I strongly believe that we're not here alone, that we are all one here, and we're all here supporting each other. But I also believe that there's a time when you have to show up for, or as Elizabeth Gilbert says, you have to ruthlessly pursue. I think it's, you have to ruthlessly manifest your own blessings, which is that they're always be coming to you. I'm sure I botched that, so don't go yelling at me on Instagram, everybody. So, or another way that I think Julia Cameron says this in The Artist's Way, she says you have to pray for the bus and run for the bus. Both things have to happen, right? I love it, right? And so to me, I just see you walking that walk so clearly, and the power that it gives you and how magnetic and attractive it makes you for all the abundance that's going to come your way. So I just am so grateful for you really modeling that for me, actually, and for this audience. So thank you so much for being here.
Yes, I love it. Thank you.